Sports on the Hill podcast, episode 254. We got Robbie G in the building and CP3 for the first time in 2022. So, as always, I'm happy to be here. I know Robbie's happy to be here, except for we have a live Caps game that we were kind of happy about at the beginning. And the next thing I know, it just went all upside down. So, I think I might have been the jinx because when I left work, it was 2-0. I got home, it was tied at 2. And then I proceeded to see 4 goals scored by Boston. I turned the game off and the Capitals scored to make it 6-3. I believe that's where they're sitting right now in intermission. Hopefully they're going to have a powerful third period to tie this game back up. I made a prediction before the show. Hopefully I'm going to be right. But Robbie G, how you doing today, man? Happy New Year. Andrew had a great show last week. Appreciate you taking over when I couldn't come on. How's it feel to be back in the building?
Yeah, it's great. And we have our first guest. I'm going to swivel my camera around right over here. Tim's going to be on in just a few minutes, and he's got new merch on. And I wish that I could say it was a little bit luckier merch, and maybe we need to wash it before he wears it next time. And but anyway, it's all good. I'm happy to be able to watch a live Caps game with a friend of mine who we've been going to Caps games together for 20 years. So we've been friends and fans a long time, so it'll be cool. And I actually have second camera set up for him. We'll bring him in a few minutes to talk about the live Caps game. I thought that the third period, him coming in, was going to be a really exciting thing. Right now we're down 6-3, but we'll also bring Tim, as always, in for the Wizard segment, and we may even get his football thoughts before the night is over. I'm still sorry about that loss. That was rough yesterday. The Steelers got very lucky with 2 overtime results going their way. But yeah, it was tough. But anyway, we'll get into all the football talk, and I think we're gonna have Dujanet on a little bit later. So lots to talk about tonight. I am super excited to be back with you, Carol. I know it's been 5 or 6 weeks since we've been able to do a show, you and me, and I actually haven't been live streaming on Twitch and you on Facebook since last season, or no, since I guess it was the summer. So it was like 3 months ago. So before just when the football season was just getting started. So it's kind of crazy how the season ended up. We'll definitely break that down. I think that they did it right about what I expected them to do this season. I know that you were hopeful that we would see a little bit more, but we've talked about it. You talked about it in your post game yesterday. There's a lot to build on. There was a lot of injuries, a lot of COVID, and we were dealt a lot of blows this season and hard to overcome. And I'm still happy that we went out and got a win the last week of the season. I know a lot of fans are like, lose it to get a better draft pick, and we would have gotten probably 3 picks better if we had lost that game. But I'm happy that they go out on a high note.
Don't get me started on those fans, Robbie. It's too early in the show to get.
but I feel for the Giants. The Giants did not have a very good game plan. I mean, they pretty much they did want to tank and lose that game. They had zero interest in winning it. I mean, there were some plays that they made, and I know we'll talk about it in a little bit, but like I've never seen QB sneak formation. And look, my dad was like, are they trying to like kneel the ball like in the middle of the game? Like, I don't understand what they're doing here. Like, I didn't have an answer, but he like rewound it and showed me. He's like, I've never seen this play in my life. And like not at the end of the game. Like
it was crazy. It was trying to get some room because they figured they were going to punt, trying to get at least the 5 yards for the punter to have enough room to try to get a decent punt off. And yeah, 3rd and 9 with a quarterback sneak on your 5. I understand, but they were down to their 4th quarterback, and Barkley hasn't been the same. So they've had an underwhelming offense for the past half of the season after Jones went out. They weren't really that good when Jones was in there. So we'll definitely break that down in the football segment. We don't want to get the Cat fans bored with football talk. We know.
Carol, we just got our first raid. We haven't had a raid during our podcast in a very long time. So I don't know if you follow Twitch, but we just got a whole bunch of new viewers coming through. So thank you guys for the raid. Cliff Stallings is a good friend of mine, and that's really cool. So I appreciate everyone for coming through. And we also got a bunch of people are following us out of that as well. So that's really cool. But anyway, but Carol, we have a big week to break down for the hockey. Do you want me to break down the scoring of the games? And then we can talk about it from there.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let me pull that one up. Right now it's 6-3. I just want to give people a reset. It's third period, 19 minutes left in the third. We're also watching the national championship in football. I don't know if anybody is a college football fan, but Georgia is playing Alabama. They've both only lost one game all season. The game right now is tied 3-3 in that one. But the week for the Capitals was pretty disappointing. We didn't really have any games all the way up until Friday. So big layoffs have never been good for the Washington Capitals. But Daniel Sprong scores 2 minutes into the first period, and then St. Louis scores the next 5 goals, including a shorthanded empty net goal. Yeah, it was a pretty brutal second period. They were able to score 3 goals, one at 9:08, one at 17:20, and then one in the very final second of the period. I think that was the dagger. I didn't think we were going to come back from 4-1. We started the game off strong, but it kind of fell apart. Carol, what are some of your thoughts on this game?
I actually saw the first period. 1-1. Sprong scored almost 2 minutes into the game. So I'm like, okay, St. Louis is the best home team. Caps is one of the best road teams. Should have been a good matchup. I figured it would, with a good start like that, I'm thinking, okay, this should be a real good game. And then I turned the channel and started watching something else. And I got caught up in it and didn't even see the second and third until I checked the score the following morning and saw 5-1. And I was a little happy that I got caught up in that show because I'd have been very upset to see those 4 unanswered goals. And the next game, I saw the whole game, and I was really upset about that game. So I'm glad I didn't see the rest of this game. But yeah, it's we were speaking about it before the show. The Caps have had a lot of injuries. COVID stuff going on. Backstrom hasn't really been there all season. Oshie's missed about half the season. Wilson was out. So I mean, it was impressive the way they started, sitting where they were, top of the Metro, with all of those, pieces missing, bringing up younger pieces that was just falling into the lineup, scoring, helping the team win. And right now, you know, it's hurting a little bit. Now the league then leveled out, and folks then got their chemistry together and got their game plans together. And unfortunately, where the Caps are right now, plugging and playing, different people in different spots and goaltenders and players. So it's just Caps fans, just don't burn the ship yet. Just better days are ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just really excited about this team. ZD in chat was just talking. I love having other Caps fans in chat. This is his first time being here, and I appreciate him joining us. He was saying our goalie, it's our bright spot. Young goalie whose name is Zach, which if people know my son, his name is Zach, so I'm always a big fan of that. So, Carol, real quickly, your dog's always biting on a bone right in the middle of a podcast. I know people have emotes in my chat, so they have the Lily emote, and they can let it know. She's right now doing it for me, so I know the feeling. I just wanted to share that.
He's actually quiet right now. He's looking now. He's sniffing his bone as soon as you say something, Robbie.
I know. I'm sorry. I jinxed it. I'm pretty happy with how we're doing overall. We had a lot of young players trying to get integrated in the lineup, and then when we try to bring older people back, it's definitely difficult to do. Do you have any more about this Blues game to get into, or do you want to just get into the next game?
Let's go ahead and talk about this Minnesota Wild. At least they got a point in that game.
Yeah, that's true. Although they should have done a lot better. In the first period, no scoring. Second period, Connor McMichael got his 5th goal in the season. I think it's a tip from a Nick Jensen shot and a pass from Connor Sherry. McMichael's 5th goal of the season. Nick Jensen's 8th assist. Connor Sherry's 9th assist on the season at 2:41 in the second. And then Kuzi has a beautiful power play goal. His 12th goal of the season, assist by Alexander Ovechkin, his 27th assist, and Lars Eller's 11th assist. Kuzi's goal is like the exact opposite of the Ovechkin sniper from the opposite side. Basically, everyone's crowding Ovechkin, thinking he's going to score on the power play because he's the only one who has scored on the power play since November, I believe, Carol. And oh my God, my dog is acting like a fool. But yeah, so she wants to play like a warrior. Sit down. But
he wants to be a star.
But yeah, anyway, Kuzi, beautiful goal, 2-0. Things are going well. Unfortunately, at 13:55, we got to talk about this goal. it's an own goal, and it happens so rarely in hockey, and it's really embarrassing. And it's very frustrating. People are sharing previous times Capitals players have done it. There's one in particular, Nicholas Backstrom has done it in the past. Has not happened for the Caps in a while, thank goodness. Marcus Foligno gets his 14th goal of the season. I believe it's his 100th goal of his career or something. So he gets his 100th goal of his career when all he did was touch a puck and someone else shot it into their own net. He gets credit for it because it's the last person to touch it. But what happened here is Hagelin is streaking down the side and he goes to pass it back to where he thinks Evgeny Kuznetsov is, but Kuzi vacates that spot stupidly. And basically, somehow it drifts all the way 200 feet into your own net. And it's just a fluke, and it sucks. It didn't even count against Zach Fucale. He has been phenomenal. His shutout streak actually was still alive because technically he's not scored against because it was considered an empty net goal, unassisted. And but unfortunately, like, I kind of had a bad feeling. So one thing people need to know is the Wild have in the entire NHL played the most 6-on-5 hockey. And so they sometimes take out the goalie with 5-10 minutes left in the game. They've played over 40 minutes of 6-on-5 hockey. So they have good formations. They don't get scored on very often. They're used to playing without a goalie, which is a very unique thing. Most teams don't, do that often. And so I kind of felt bad knowing that in the back of my head that they could come back and tie it. Unfortunately, he plays a good period and they put together a really good game, but then 6-on-5 they score with 1925 into the period. So it's about 35 seconds left in the game. It goes to overtime. I'm happy that we didn't lose in overtime. So far, we have not won a single game in overtime for the season, but we had done okay in the shootout. Goes to the shootout, and we don't score on our 2 opportunities, and they score out of their 2 out of their 3, and the game is over. Yeah. So, Carol, what are your thoughts on some of that?
Oh man, like I said, the game started off lovely with the 2-0 lead in the second. Excuse me, that Kuzi goal was a thing of beauty. The way he faked the goaltender out and made a perfect snipe shot, top corner. And then, like as you said, the momentum swung with that bad delayed penalty empty net goal that was unfortunate. Hagelin, like you mentioned, was trying to take it back to the point. Kuzi went left, the puck went right. And yeah, unfortunately, it slowly rolled down, and there was nothing that nobody could do about it. That's why in those situations, I love for them to get it down below the goal line instead of keep taking it back to the point. Because one misplay, no goalie, and a fluke play like that happens. It hasn't happened in a while, but that gave Minnesota some momentum because up until that point, they really weren't doing anything with the Capitals 5-on-5, and to get that goal on a delayed penalty when the Caps were looking to go to the power play, which has been struggling because of the 2 main missing pieces, Oshie and Backstrom. So folks got to take that into account. I know a lot of folks are panicking about the power play, but you have 2 of those key pieces out for most of the season, your power play is going to suffer. And then for them to get that late game time goal, I put that on the announcers because that's all they kept talking about with less than 5 minutes left. When are they going to put Lagodi there to, top team 6-on-5, and then, they got it 6-on-5, and the sad thing was the Caps had a chance to clear the zone before they scored, and unfortunately a misplay, and they were able to keep it in, and then they were able to get the equalizer, as Robbie said, with 19 seconds left. And the 3-on-3 was very entertaining. Went back and forth. The Caps had a couple of chances. The Wild had a couple of chances. The goalie stood up, but unfortunately, without Oshie, our go-to guy that we can always count on, unfortunately, they lost in the shutout. We still got a point, but yeah, that game, those last 2 games definitely left a bad taste in my mouth, and this game right here isn't making it any better.
I wish that the next game was like, I was so hoping tonight was going to be like the rebound game, and it started off so well. I'm just sharing to a couple of Caps groups to see if anybody wants to talk about this miserable game with us, because maybe they want to some company. Yeah, it's been a brutal game so far. It started off so well. Um, yeah, let's just get into it. So it started off. Connor Sherry 302 into the first period scored a nice goal. Sort of bad rebound control. He was able to kind of gobble it up and score his ninth goal of the season. Nick Dowd's fifth assist. Garnet Hathaway's sixth assist. Made it 1-0. Then Connor Sherry scored again on the 12:32. I thought it was. Oh, interesting. I guess if they changed who who that was, because originally I thought it was somebody else that scored it, but I guess they changed it. Yeah, but anyway, so it made it 2-0, and then so it was looking good, and then they scored two goals on a pretty much right back to back on the power play, made it 2-2, and then in the second period, it just went downhill fast. They scored at 2:51, 7:53, 8:54, and 13:09 to make it 6-2 before TJ Oshie, the good guys. He scores his fifth of the season. Ovechkin's 28th assist of the season, and Kuzi's 23rd to make it 6-3. And that's how we got to where we are right now. Lots of penalties in the first, nothing in the second or in the third so far. We've also put Groovy in this game now after the second period. So there's been a goaltending change in that regard.
I mean, double. You said Groovy. You went back.
I mean, Vanacek. Sorry. Been a long time. Yeah. I was like, it's the backup guy. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, this game, like I said, I didn't even see the two goals that Sherry scored. I was still at work. I left work. It was 2-0. I got home. It was going into the second. It was 2-2. I saw that it was two power play goals, which is never a good thing, especially when your power play isn't clicking and then you give up two power play goals to get the team back in the game, and then proceed to give up the next four goals in about a 10-minute span, and then trying to scrap to get back in it. But like I mentioned earlier, missing pieces. Backstrom's just back. Oshie just back. Chemistry. It's not clicking. Boston has been playing well, and is always a top team. So unfortunately, this is what we're getting right now.
Yep. I just it's like we were doing so well, and like I don't know, it's kind of a bummer last couple of weeks since I've come back, but we were gonna hit a lull. I mean, we had done so well. We were kind of punching above where I think we should have been, and it's all gonna come back. And I gotta give Boston credit. They've been hot. They just beat Tampa Bay, who's a very good team, and Boston's one of those teams that are fighting for one of those bottom spots, and right now will be a wild card team. But they're hungry, and Boston's always really good. I mean, they were one of the top teams in our conference when they joined the East last year. We played them a bunch, and we know how that turned out. In fact, we lost to them in the playoffs, right? So, but anyway, we've had Boston's number for a bunch of years going into this season, but it's just it is what it is. Should we go into the week ahead or anything else you want to talk about this game? I mean, right now it's 6-3, 10:45 left in the third. Both teams are just kind of locking it down at this point.
Yeah, it's nothing pretty much to talk about with this game. We already pretty much, said what it is, missing pieces, and Boston's playing well, and maybe the Capitals can get something going, go from there. And somebody always calls during the show. I swear.
Upcoming schedule. It's a very light schedule again, which doesn't really make me excited. I just don't like these big breaks before games. That hopefully maybe they'll get healthy and they can get some good weeks of practice and they can channel some of this anger against a Islanders team that's been struggling this year. So that's Saturday. It's at 2:00 in the afternoon game. Just a weird time. I don't even know.
I thought I was tripping. I was like 2:00. Why is it a 2:00 game?
Yeah, it's a 2:00 game on Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, so I don't know why. I have no explanation other than that's what the app tells me, and I believe that it is correct. So, it's the Yahoo Sports app. They're usually pretty on it. Yeah, so, Yeah. So anyway, 2 o'clock. Islanders on the island. The capital Islanders have beaten Edmonton and Buffalo. Those are their last two games. Their schedule this week. They're I guess a lot of their games have gotten postponed because they're playing a lot of Canadian teams. But they are playing Thursday against the New Jersey Devils, I believe. And they're also playing Saturday against us. And so yeah. Oh no, they're playing Calgary on Tuesday. So okay, so that game is happening. Anyway, so they're playing a bunch of games before they play us, and we're going to have rest. So I never know how that's going to work out, but they've been having a tough go of it this season in general. What are your thoughts on the Islanders?
Yeah, it's a head scratcher with Trotz's team. They normally, lock things down defensively. I haven't paid a lot of attention to them, but I know they aren't playing the way that Trotz would want them to play. They have a lot of talent. We saw what they've been able to do, under Trotz, and it's going to be a tight game, and then they're definitely going to be looking to try to get right against a Caps team that's missing pieces and getting some pieces back. So we know it's going to be a hard fought game, probably all the way down to the end. As a classic Metro Division battle against our old Stanley Cup champion coach.
Yeah, so in reading the schedule a little bit deeper, they had won 2 games in a row, but then remember that expansion, or sorry, there was that whole thing with the COVID, and they extended the holiday break, and then there's a whole entire anyway. So they didn't get to play the Seattle game, the Vancouver game, or the Edmonton game on the 4th, 5th, and 8th. Now they're coming back after a really long break, so they haven't played since the 1st, and they're going to be playing Calgary on Tuesday, at Calgary at 9, and then Thursday. And I think that game is happening, but these games are getting canceled that are crossing the borders in Canada, so who knows? And then Thursday against New Jersey in the Island, and that's a 7:30 game. So they've had a very choppy, crazy schedule. So it'll be interesting to see how they come out of this big lull where they haven't played well, but they were playing well going into it, but now have a huge break. So it's going to be interesting to see that Islanders team as sort of our next opponent. And so that one is going to be on Saturday again at 2. And then Sunday, we turn around and play Vancouver at home at 2. So we play the Fighting Boudreaux. And they've been phenomenal ever since Bruce Boudreau took over. Yeah, but they also have had a lot of games canceled, and they haven't played since Saturday, January 1st themselves. So, like, I believe that they're playing tomorrow against Ottawa, and that's going to be their first. No, is that right? No, that's not right. They might be playing at Florida on Tuesday, but they haven't played since the 1st either. So, there's another one of the teams that got really messed up with the schedule. So, it's just interesting. We're playing both of those teams back to back. But before that, though, the Canucks had been playing really well. Just to give you a sense, in December, since Boudreau took over, they won like 6 in a row, then had a huge layoff. Then they came back and they beat Anaheim, lost to Los Angeles, and beat Seattle, and then had another huge layoff again. So it's NHL is crazy right now. It's just hard to describe. So we talked about it last week, but in case anybody missed it, the players aren't going. Oh, fuck. It's now 7-3 at 9 minutes left in the third. Anyway, the NHL players are not going to the Olympics, so they're going to use those couple of weeks to make up all these games that are missing. This is brutal. I kind of just want to put the national championship game on my main TV. I just don't even really want to watch this game anymore.
Robbie, it got that bad. I turned on the national championship game. That's how bad it got, Robbie. I turned on college football.
I know it's a big deal. People who are just tuning in might not realize, but yeah. Anyway, this game is fucking brutal. All right, this is one of the worst games I've watched on our show live.
You're wrestling and football right now.
Yeah, right now I wish that it was on a commercial break and I have to continue to watch this on the show. But anyway, that's the week ahead. Your thoughts on the Canucks since Boudreau took over?
Oh yeah, he definitely has him and they're going in the right direction. It's always a question with him playoffs, but excuse me. when got the when the previous coach got fired. You know, they have a lot of talent. They've always been trying to figure out what would bring the team together and get them playing better. We know Bruce isn't really the most defensive guy, which has been one of Vancouver's issues. But to go on a 6 game winning streak with him taking over, obviously, it was time for the old coach to go. They needed a new voice in the locker room, and they responded. And I haven't had a chance to see them play since he's taken over. I know they already were a wide open team, so now I could imagine with him behind the bench. I know they probably, running and gunning like more even.
Yeah. So we'll see. And so those are the only two games I believe that we're gonna get in here before the next podcast. So we'll see how those games go. Hopefully they go better than this one. And then the next game after that will be Tuesday against Winnipeg. If people want to know a little further out in the schedule, but so yeah, we'll have two games to recap next week. That'll be an interesting week. Next week though, we're gonna have a live NFL wild card playoff game, first ever Monday Night Football wild card game. So we'll talk about that with our next guest a little bit as well. So that's gonna be my segue because I'm kind of done talking about the Capitals. And but I appreciate everyone for tuning in for Caps Talk. And bear with us through that. 7:48, 7:3. If anything good happens, we'll let you know. But I'm about to switch the TVs around. But why don't we bring in our guest Dujanay Bland, and we'll talk about the last victory Monday of the season for the Washington football team. And Dujanay, I like the gear. Everyone's repping different gear tonight on the podcast.
Got to, baby. Got to.
I love that. I love that. So, Dujanay, how you been?
Doing pretty good. Can't complain.
Man,
Trying to get the studio up. So, yeah, I can't complain at all.
Yeah, nice pictures you sent me earlier, man. Nice setup, man. I see you over there doing big things, man.
Trying to, man. Trying to get some new stuff going, and hopefully we can, do some new stuff in 2022.
Yeah, definitely got to make some things happen, man. Got to make some things happen. And I guess we could talk about the Washington football team going into 2022. They ended the season 7-10. Below what I was optimistically hoping this team would be able to put together. But, that first place schedule against tougher competition, they had 7 wins last year, 7 wins this year, but you have had an impressive 4-game winning streak against Super Bowl contender opponents that the team showed what they're capable of when they're consistent, play with a good game plan on offense, effective on defense, and, coaching is putting players in a position to win. And this game against the Giants, we were talking about a little bit before at the start of the show, underwhelming offensively, defensively. The Giants, they played well for the most part against the Washington offense. There was still some, inconsistencies with Heineke at quarterback. I broke down my synopsis on his season. I felt like, we pretty much know what he is. He can be a nice stopgap. Going into next year, if they have a quarterback in mind, draft, free agency, whatever they want to do, he can go in there and, fight a training camp and see who comes out on top. Pretty much think that Ryan Fitzpatrick, half of Washington football team career is over. His contract is up. Got to give a shout out to Gibson, like I did yesterday, his first 1,000-yard rushing season. Had a little bit of fumbling issues this season, but second year coming converting from a wide receiver to running back. There's going to be some hiccups. You saw yesterday him learning about pressing the hole and using his blocks and setting up the defenders. So he's learning and developing. Shout out to Terry McLaurin, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. First time, I still can't get over this, since 1996, since we've had a back-to-back 1,000-yard receiver. I saw Henry Allen. I was like, oh, Lord, how old am I?
Crazy, ain't it?
Bruh, that was a year I graduated high school.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Oh, my God. But Terry, and then with that great hit to break up the interception in the first half, I mean, that dude does it all. I think they're going to back the truck up for him this off season. It was some fans were upset, said that we should have lost the game and yada, yada, yada. it was a good way to end the season. Didn't want to end the season on a 5-game losing streak. At least you broke the 4-game losing streak that they had. And I'm gonna end it on as I said yesterday with I'm gonna ask Dujane after you give your synopsis. What do you think about this? But I honestly think it might be time for Jack Del Rio to go, man. Because last year, like I said, I gave him a pass with no training camp, no preseason. This year, he had a game plan that wasn't effective, took him too long to adjust it. And then once he did, the team got into a groove, and then the COVID and the injuries hit, and then, it is what it is. But I just think the creativity, as I have to use a prime example of everyone's hated team, the Dallas Cowboys against us. You saw they line up their pass rushers in different positions. Me and Dujaneer spoke about it. I feel like thousands of times about moving our playmakers all around, over the guard, over the center, switching them around, doing different things. And we saw what it does to our offensive line. The same thing that Dujaneer and I have been talking about for a couple of seasons now. It causes confusion. It stunts, twists. You got a guard worrying about a stud that he's not used to blocking coming straight at him, and what is he going to do, and yada yada yada, and it causes problems. And unfortunately, I gave Jack a pass because we know how creative that he used to be, and then William Jackson in his closing presser, he the same thing I was talking about. He's a man press corner, and now you're trying to get him to convert to a zone corner with his back to the ball when he's just playing face the ball. It took him some adjustment. He got into his zone once he got used to it. But why are you taking people out of their comfort zone when we need to be more of a man press team and not more of a zone team? I understand new people in place, mistakes was being made, so you wanted to err on the side of caution. But I'm a defensive guy, and that really rubbed me the wrong way. It took him so long to adjust and get all of this talent that he has on defense to be effective.
Yeah, the game was the game. It was the Giants, and all the field goals, it was pretty much telling of the season of how it went for them all season long. Just constant, not being able to punch it in, not being able to do the things they need to do. It's really telling of quarterback position. And sometimes I think it's telling of the offensive coordinator as well. I think they have enough weapons at the wide receiver position. I think they have enough weapons at running back. The offensive line, as many combinations they had, they were able to protect pretty well. It all stems at quarterback. He's not a franchise quarterback. He's had his time to prove it. But again, let's not go get too crazy and start wanting to ship the guy out of here. We've talked about it time and time again. League needs to start respecting backup quarterbacks, and he's definitely a guy who can come in and win you some ball games when you need it, especially as a backup. And he's a serviceable backup and a guy who can win you some games. So I definitely think he can stay around and should be around. With that said, where do they go as far as what are the needs for this team? Absolutely, quarterback is number one need. I think there needs to be some real big wholesale changes here. And I personally think that there needs to be a consideration if there's someone better at the offensive coordinator position. And I'm not, I don't like to make too many big time changes, but it's just not cutting it for me. It's the same problem I have. And I know we'll discuss the playoff stuff, but it's the same problem I have with Dallas and Kellen Moore in their head coaching problem. It's just not cutting it for me. I think that's a problem, needs to go. I think Jack Del Rio is a problem that needs to go. Quarterback is an issue. Need to find that, whether that's through free agency. And there are some options. Obviously there's Deshaun Watson. I think that Tua will be available. I'm not as high on Tua as most people are, but I do think he will be available, especially with Brian Flores being out. It really just depends on who Miami gets as quarterback there, or gets as coach there to to run the ship. I don't think whoever they get in there is going to be that high on Tua. I really do think that there was some smoke and with the Deshaun Watson move. So we'll see about that. I don't think a Russell Wilson trade is even possible. I believe he goes to the Saints, and don't even get me started with Double A, and I know how you feel about him, and I feel the same way. I could care less. I mean, these, MVP, yes, but they ain't here. He ain't getting no respect, no love from me outside of that. It doesn't belong in Washington as far as I'm concerned, and I wouldn't trade for him. So, I'm not really sure what you do there, but you definitely need a quarterback. So, and you need some linebackers. They need some linebackers badly. I like Jamin Davis, but they gotta shore that up. Outside of Cole Holcomb, I mean, who else is doing the job? Not a lot of people are doing the job and doing it consistently. You can't. I mean, are you going to pay that kind of money to have, to have a box safety come down and play linebacker? I don't think so. Probably not. Probably not. So there's some wholesale changes. There's a lot of things that need to be thought about. We're going to see. We're going to see it, and they have to be made because this is the third year for Rivera, and he's had some adversity, and I know people are putting a lot on him, but I mean, come on, man, the guy walked into a dumpster fire with all the off the field garbage and the continued garbage that goes on, whether it's stadium issues and other crap that they continue to go squirrel with the fan base, whether it's this ridiculous team name 2222 that I don't give threes craps about. I don't care if you call them the armpits. You win. Doesn't matter what your name is. Win. I don't care what you're called. Be called the Onions for all I care. Win. And I think that's really what the fan base is concerned about. But it created a talking point to take people off the fact that stadium's falling apart and some people got injured, and daggone Jalen Hurts darn near lost his ACL, PCL, MCL, any CL you can think of when them people fell out of that daggone stands. Along with the sewage incident, another squirrel incident, they threw something else out there. I don't know. I don't get me started on this distraction stuff. It's ridiculous. But I get it. Ron Rivera's the guy at the helm. They've dealt with COVID stuff and all that. I guess I give him a grade for a C overall, but there's got to be some wholesale changes to help things out. But those are three things on the field, two positions on the field, and there's things coaching wise that they have to get done if they want to do it. And look around the division. I mean, look at the Dallas Cowboys. Despite Jay Gruden 2.0 as their head coach, Kyle Shanahan as their offensive coordinator, Mr. Kellen Moore, and they're still winning ball games and they're in the playoffs. Now, we'll talk about it, but I'm going to tell you, right now, they're going to get bounced either in round 1 or 2. They didn't want to see the 49ers. I'm going to tell you that right now. But they're winning despite coaching because they have talent. Outside of everything else, they got talent. But they got two dummies at coach. And there's a lot of Cowboys fans that feel the exact same way. So, Washington got to do something here. And I don't think fans are going to continue to put up with this slow start nonsense because other divisions and other teams in divisions ain't getting off the slow starts. The slow start stuff ain't getting you nowhere, but getting your butts handed to you. And I'll close with this. I said it last year and everybody jumped all over me. That nonsense that he was talking about winning and winning the division and how important that was garbage. Look at what it got you. A first place schedule for a team that is not even smelling first place. They're darn near close to a last place team. You're a smidgen better than the Giants. A smidgen. But you wanted to win now.
Yeah, I can't.
Win the division, look good. It looked good. Oh yeah, it looked real good. 7-9 looked real good. Winning division looked real good. You got that big schedule, and you got foot all in your backside. And reality hit. It was all a facade, smoke, mirrors, trash. Should have just did what you had to do and kept building to a point so you could get somewhere and not get embarrassed. Now he's on the hot seat in year 3.
I can't agree with that statement. I can't agree with that statement. Winning the division, it isn't like he went out of his way to do it. It was a sorry division, and it got hot at the right time. They made the right adjustments, and everything fell together, and they won a division. And then they gave the Tampa Bay Bucks the best game they had all.
They did, but I still don't agree with it.
The schedule.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't
honestly,
agree with that.
Yeah, I mean the first place schedule was not, a gift, but he has to get a barometer for this team, being that we won a division.
But was that a good barometer though?
I mean, yeah, now you know where your true holes are. Now like he made the statement that he doesn't feel like he's going to make any adjustments to his staff. I'm hoping that's just smoke right now, just because it's the first day, cut day for coaches.
Yeah, because if not, you're going to get the same results, in my opinion.
Exactly.
So, I ain't buying that.
Yeah, with Scott Turner, I'm not ready to throw in the towel.
Okay.
I'm going to give you 3 names. Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay,
True.
Kyle Shanahan.
True. No, you know what though? Kyle getting by on his name though. And I look, he is in the playoffs. I'll give him that. But I believe Kyle is a little bit overrated.
He's overrated. His name does definitely.
He's a Shanahan.
Exactly. But I think he's still effective. He's still developing as a coach. Because of his last name, I think it's kind of holding him back because he's still looking over his shoulder, worrying about his daddy. But he's done a solid job in San Francisco. So that's one of the reasons I say I'm not really quite right to throw the towel.
And I don't want to change the offense either. That's my whole thing about really not really wanting to get rid of an offensive coordinator, because I don't want to change an offense. Yeah. I'd rather throw in a quarterback that can execute an offense than to have a wholesale change a quarterback and an offense, because you're almost starting over at that point.
Exactly.
And to be quite honest with you, Ron Rivera can run the defense. I don't have to go get another coordinator. Ron Rivera can run the defense if he wants to.
I was thinking the same thing, but with Scott, because we've seen on that 4-game winning streak in the game yesterday, we saw him running the ball. That's, to me, his only issue when we talk about, Scott Gruden, that, if he's down a touchdown or down 10 points, right, he all of a sudden wants to, start, going in a pass happy mode and, throwing and flinging the ball everywhere. Like, no, stick with what works. That's only a mistake that I saw him make in the 4-game losing streak, is he went total opposite from what he did to what put him on the 4-game winning streak to put him into the playoff hunt.
Now I ask you, is the offense not working because the quarterback is not effective? Is that why they had the issues that they had? Because to me, it felt like it was pulling teeth yesterday against a Giants team with Jake Fromm. Because I'm gonna tell you, if they got their boy in there who lights them up every time they play, if he's in there, they don't win that game. That's my personal feeling.
Yesterday, it
was pulling teeth yesterday.
It was a head scratcher with Heineke, because he looked like he was pressing, like he was trying to make a final impression for his season, and like he was holding the ball too long. He was locking them on receivers too long.
Throwing high, doing things that people complain about.
Yeah, he was
doing
that for a while. So I think he was pressing it, trying to make a final impression on the season, going that he has another year in the contract and want to make an impression going into the next year, knowing that they're going to be looking for another quarterback. So I feel like he was pressing it too much. But the fact that Turner stuck with the run game, and I know a lot of folks, especially you, are down on Samuel, but I'm kind of glad that he pretty much shut it down at the end of the season. That way he can come in next year 100% healthy, no reasons not to be effective, like you say, a fast start when the season starts. And I just think that we're not as bad as it looks, just with the context of what everything, like you say, with the stands and the name change and the Daniel Snyder.
The organization is trash.
Yeah,
the organization is trash. I think, like I said, 3 things: quarterback, linebacker core needs to be shored up. You need a coordinator over there to do a better job. I think overall, though, they don't need that many pieces on offense. I think everything is there. I just think quarterback is a problem. It is a problem. If they had any of the top 15 or 20 quarterbacks, you'd have a different outcome. I mean, I'd take Dallas's backup, Cooper Kupp. That is no. What is his name? Cooper Rush. I'll take Rush over him, and I guarantee you have a better outcome in a lot of games over what Heineke's done.
I still say we should have stuck with Case Keenum.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't have a problem with Case. We gave him not even a whole year, and then he rolled out and we brought in somebody else. Look at what he did with Minnesota. Got him all the way to the NFC Championship game, and then $84 million guarantee. Man, they got another coach fired because he's not the guy. But you got you got a journeyman that took a team to the NFC Championship game, and you can't even get an $84 million quarterback that can't get him into the playoffs or in the first round. And then you have your top wide receiver. This is what I want Washington football fans that's still on the Kurt bandwagon to listen to this. When you have your number 1 wide receiver, Stephon Diggs, leave Minnesota to go to Buffalo with the quarterback at that time was a question mark in Josh Allen.
Those aren't Washington football team fans, though. Those are Kirk Cousins fans.
There's a mixture because some of them are still hanging. If we would have locked him up, we'd be a championship team now.
No, you wouldn't. He ain't winning jack.
Oh, I hope no one says that.
He ain't winning jack.
I'm in some of these groups. I don't
That's
respond.
sad.
I read it. Some folks are still thinking that
really
is the guy that we let get away that was going to take us to the promised land. So this is why I'm giving this little synopsis for these football fans that think they know all that Kirk Cousins and RG3 and all of that stuff that they still talking about, because of some of the stations in this area still talking about that. I have to speak on it. Case Keenum, a journeyman, got them to the NFC Championship game on a league minimum contract, but you got an $84 million guarantee, man, that it just pilfered $84 million from us in 2 years of a franchise tag, and he can't even make the playoffs and got another coach fired, but it's not his fault. It's not on Kirk. No,
Zimmer trash, but he trash too. Zimmer's trash for giving him that money. Okay, because I don't like Zimmer. I didn't like the GM, but Kirk trash too. They all 3 of them need to go. Should have all been fired all at the same time, and they should go off somewhere, and they can go either to the XFL or to the USFL, somewhere over there, and they can start a team on their own, and he can be the coach, and that can be his quarterback, and he can ride and do that same old scenario, 7-9, 8-8, missing playoffs like he liked doing right here in the NFL, because that dude is not winning jack. I've been saying that, but we all been saying that, but I don't know what people like about that dude. I really don't understand it at all.
Oh, trust me. You know, Washington football fans, they're going to find something to make something, boom, boom. All right, the end, so we can get into the wild card week, and I'm going to end. We spoke about the name change. I said this on my post game yesterday. I'm going to say it on the show tonight. 2-2-22. To all of you gloom and doom Washington football team fans, the Redskins organization is no more. Take your Redskin fandom, your delusional DC sports radio talk that you've been listening to that have been blowing the smoke up your butt for the last 25 years of the story franchise and all of this stuff that Daniel Snyder and ruled. And do me a favor. If you don't like the team and don't like what's going on, you got 2 options. You can stay. You can go get another team. I actually saw 3 of my social media friends actually made that move today and said that they are no longer a Washington football team fan, that organization, and they had chose new teams to go forward in 2022. So please follow that trend. Because I'm tired of seeing you whining on social media. I'm tired of seeing you being upset about it. Like yesterday, they won the game. Well, they should have lost. They got lower draft position. Now you complain when they lose and when they play well. You mad because they win? When they have a blowout game, well, they should have won by more. They should have done this. They should have done. Why are you here? We don't want you. If you don't want to be here, I told you, this is like an abusive spouse situation. Get out. If you feel like the team is doing you wrong, doing you dirty, and not doing what you want, you got a choice. Roll. Don't be on my page when I put stuff out there talking about how bad this and they're going to mess this. Why? Go root for somebody else if you're unhappy here. 2-2-22. Turn over a new leaf, people. If you're not a Washington football team fan, if you don't like what's going on with the organization, you don't like the way it's going, roll. And that's all I got to say.
What do you think the team name's going to be? I mean, I don't really care about all the hoopla, but
just like you said, I could give a damn.
I really don't.
I'm so happy you brought it up, though. I really wanted to talk about it. Carol did not want to talk about it at all, but
I'll let you talk about it, Robbie. Go ahead.
I hate the name Commanders, and I think that's what it's going to be. That's my gut feeling.
It can't be the Admirals because the Admirals are the Navy, and they can't be that.
The command, honestly, I don't. It really doesn't matter to me what the name is. I honestly
win.
Yeah, exactly.
Win.
That's all I care about.
To me, it should stay the football team. As a matter of fact, it should say the Washington FC and just be done with it. Just call them the Washington Football Club and be done. Right, and just win. I could care less.
But I understand you could care less. But if you could pick any name, whether the ones that crossed out, the ones that they didn't go with, whatever it could be, you get to pick one right now, Dugenais. What would you have gone with?
You know what? I didn't like the what was it, the Red Wolves or whatever? I would have done it.
It grew on me.
I would have
picked that one too.
But I understand it was a marketing. People don't understand that it was an issue with them being able to trademark. So that was the reason why they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But they have like warthogs. I don't know if I go with that. So Commanders is the next best thing, I guess. Hogs is too simple.
Can they just be the Red Hogs?
Yeah, I say the Washington Wolves. If it can't be Redwood, Washington Wolves.
No. The problem with the Wolves is the Timberwolves. Yep. No one wants to compete with the NBA licensing for the Timberwolves.
They don't.
All that money.
They should have just took the Defenders and just took the Defenders name from the XFL. It's not like Washington's getting the XFL's team, so just take the Defenders.
But I thought they were trying to restart. I thought somebody bought.
They are, but I don't think Washington's getting a team though.
So I did see the 8 cities that were, and none of them are us, which kind of sucks. I was like, well, now I care much less. So,
and Washington Defenders had a better crowd and a turnout. That's the crazy part about the whole thing. The reason why XFL didn't even put a team in that city. They had a turnout, and people were rooting for that team. It's wild, especially with Washington not doing very well. That team was actually winning.
and the Valor were exciting. We got behind the Valor,
Yep, exactly.
I was following Defenders. I was doing highlight videos when they was in there because I actually, it was some good football.
It was a good product.
So the Defenders would be cool.
But I think it's Commanders. I really do.
I think it's going to be.
Yeah, a lot of folks say, I'm just waiting for it to drop because all of these rumors and this guy unblurred the video and this is what it looked like. I'm like, really? I'm like, I'm going to wait because everybody all upset. I'm gonna wait until like I said, I really don't care less. I would have liked if it stayed the Washington football team. I didn't have a problem with it. That is, but yeah, it's always going to be something. But once they do it and it's done and over with, we ain't got to talk about it no more, and then we can actually move.
And then we got to rebrand everything again.
Yep.
For the third time. All right. Anyway.
They're gonna be making some money, Jack.
We got another couple of weeks to worry about that. We'll talk about that.
2-2-22. Tune into the Today Show. What a random ass way to announce it, but Today Show, Groundhog's Day. Tune in. That's when it's announced. So
Well, all right, let's go ahead and get into this wild card weekend. I know we got the NBA roundtable waiting to talk some talk some basketball. The first game of the wild card weekend, Las Vegas Raiders 10-7 versus Cincinnati 10-7. It's a 4:30 start in Cincy. Derek Carr 428 for 626 yards, 4,800 yards passing, 23 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Right now they have Brandon Allen. I'm not sure what's going on with Burrow. I didn't really watch the game the other day. 17 for 34, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an 81.6 quarterback rating. I've been following Raiders because I had the running back and Waller as my tight end in fantasy football. So I've been following them. Cincinnati is playing some good ball. Jamar Chase is a problem. Vegas does have some issues on defense with wide receivers. So Cincy being at home, I'm gonna go with Cincy in this game. Dujane, what do you say?
Definitely taking the Bengals. I like what Carr's been doing. It's been very fun to watch. But Joe Burrow is resting in this last game. I'm going with Cincy. It's going to be fun. That connection with him and Jamar Chase is just absolutely electric. They will be ready. The buck stops. They did it for Madden. They got in, but it's over after this.
No doubt, no doubt. What about you, Robbie?
I think Cincinnati's gonna win. I think I don't know. I kind of want to ask Tim's take here. He's sitting here.
Oh, I'm biased.
Yeah, I know. He hates Cincinnati. I'm a big.
I mean, eventually they have to win a playoff game. It's the law of averages, and I think Marvin Lewis was more of a choker. So
that is definitely I think they definitely
quarterback, new coach.
Yeah, I turned on Tim's cam because, but yeah, like we'll get Tim's take as well, just because I think it could be interesting just to do a quick take. But I'm going with Cincinnati winning this game, but you can go to the next game.
All right, then we have 8:15 on Saturday, New England 10-7 versus the back-to-back AFC East champion Buffalo Bills at 11-6. The Bills handed in New England butt whipping the last time to win the division. As I always say, can't go against the hoodie. Even though they're in Buffalo and Josh Allen's playing some good ball. They got Mac Jones for the New England 352 attempts out of 521. 352 completions out of 521 attempts, 3,800 yards, 22 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, the 92.5 quarterback rating. Josh Allen, 409 completions, 646 attempps, 4,407 yards, 36 touchdowns, 15 interceptions with a 92.2 quarterback rating. As well as Buffalo has been playing, they're going to be at home. That stadium is going to be crazy. I can't go against the hoodie in playoffs, man. I just can't do it. I'm going to go with Belichick for the upset because I don't see him losing twice to the Bills in the last 4 weeks and the way they got beat a few weeks ago. I think Bill is very upset and has a point to prove this game. What about you, Dujane?
Buffalo. I'm going with Josh Allen. Buffalo Bills are they are a different team, and I think the young cat has done a good job, and Jones done a good job this season. Think he showed it a little bit of his youth here in the last game. This playoff football is a little bit different, and I understand the hoodie understands that, but the young QB has not experienced that yet. And I think that's going to make the difference in the ball game. Josh Allen, his ability to use his legs along with his arm is going to make the difference in this ball game. They're going to be at home. Bills Mafia is going to be crazy. And I'm going with the Bills with this one.
Tim, what do you say?
I think Buffalo will win too, just because Josh Allen won a couple playoff games last year, so he's not going to be afraid of the big stage. And Buffalo has a great home crowd too. Also, New England struggled the last couple weeks. They didn't look that good against Miami. They kind of came back, but they looked really bad in the first half, and Miami didn't even make the playoffs. So I think Buffalo just is looking better right now, and it's going to be a close game, but I think you can count on Buffalo's offense now.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting. The Bills, they lost 2 games to New England and Tampa Bay back to back, and then after that, they went on a winning streak. They beat Carolina, then they went to New England and won. They beat Atlanta and the Jets. Now, Atlanta and the Jets aren't great, but they were still able to come away with pretty decisive victories there. So, especially at home, they've been playing pretty well. And my edge, I think, is to give it to Buffalo. I think that they've got a more veteran team in some ways. Like they feel more cohesive as a team to me than New England does.
Yeah, I think New England's gonna run the ball, run the ball, and run the ball because the dual threat they have in running the ball. I think they're gonna try to get a lead and pound the ball and keep the ball out of Buffalo's potent offense and Josh Allen's hands. I think that's going to be Belichick going into this game. And that's for Saturday. Now going into Sunday, we got 3 games on Sunday. You got Philly 9-8 versus Tampa Bay 13-4 in Tampa. That's a 1:00 start. As of right now, Philly, they have Mishnu slated as a starter. He's 41 for 60, 439 yards, 4 touchdowns, and interception. I'm sure Hurts is probably going to play. He probably just played yesterday. And Tom Brady, the ageless wonder, 455 out of 719, 5,316 yards, 43 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, with 102 quarterback rating. I want that man tested. Something ain't right. There's no way in the hell this man could be this good at this old, man. I'm sorry. Something ain't right, man. I want him tested for HGH, perform enhancing substances, stick them on his gloves. I want him tested for everything. There's no way this man should be putting up these numbers at this age with Tampa Bay. It's crazy.
And one of their best players just poof gone, right? Just like,
yeah.
And it doesn't matter though. It's not gonna but he still is a good player, and it just could be gone, and it's still not gonna stop them.
I want this man tested. Honestly, I need some conclusive tests because this like you said, he hasn't even had Gronk, and he's still putting up these numbers. It's insane. I'm going with Tampa in this game. I'm conflicted. Can't root for Philly. Don't want to root for Brady, but the way they're playing right now, and then Brady wants to have a handful of rings. I can't go against him in this game. What do you say, Rob? I go to you first, Rob.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers. I think for me, they're just so much better. I don't believe in the Eagles. I know they had some good wins, but for them to go to Tampa Bay, it was a different situation when Tampa Bay came to Washington, and Washington almost beat them. I just don't think that the Eagles go down to Tampa Bay, especially with the preparation. And I feel like the Buccaneers now have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder with all this drama that kind of got thrown their way. And I think they're going to want to try to prove something that maybe they didn't need that player anyway, So people are going to say shit if they lose, right? Because they're going to be like, well, you had a great player and it all flew up in your face. So
the only asterisk is the running game of Philly. If they can get that running game going with Hurts, they can cause a problem in Tampa. What do you say, Dujanay?
Yeah, there's a concern. There's a little bit of concern. You see what Tampa did with the Jets. I mean, there's no reason why they should have been in those type of dogfights with the Jets. They struggled down the stretch. Eagles went 7-4 over their last 11 games. And the last time that they played the Bucks, it was 28-22. It was back in week 6, though. Yeah, I'm going with Tampa Bay because it's in Tampa Bay, but I would not be surprised if the Eagles pulled out a close one. And like you said, if the Eagles can get that run game going with Hurts and the combination of backs that they have, and kind of get that defense, out of position. Getting Tom Brady and getting the defense, really their defense being able to tee off a little bit and getting after Brady, it could be a problem. But at the end of the day, I think they have a little bit of chip on their shoulder. You got, Antonio Brown running his mouth and talking a lot of trash about everybody at this point, and I think they have something to prove. I don't think they're going to make it to the Super Bowl, but they definitely getting past the Eagles, though.
Real quickly, I have one other stat that I wanted to point out. They've only lost 4 games all season, right? So it's New Orleans is the only game that they lost at home. They lost at 9-0, which is a strange game. But all the other losses were on the road: Washington, New Orleans, and the Rams, right? So at home they were almost perfect.
Right.
So like I just think that they're a different team down there, and especially down the stretch that they kind of Anyway, that's my
Also got to give a shout out to Mike Evans for, I believe I saw the stat, he's the first running wide receiver in NFL history to have his first 8 seasons in the league have 1,000-yard seasons. So I got to give him a shout out for that.
And Carol, do you know where Mike Evans went to college?
Was it Texas A&M?
Yeah, he's an Aggie. So
only reason I knew because your wife goes there.
Yes,
so
there you go. But I'm just saying it. Anyway, you can go.
I don't watch college, but I had a good idea that it was Texas A&M because I know Robbie's wife.
Well, that's good. A&M. You picked up on clues. That's good.
Yeah. Hey, you throw it out there. That you throw the alley up there. I got to oop it, man. We getting the basketball covered. What do you say about this Philly Tampa game?
I think Tampa's definitely going to win. They just score too much, and Tom Brady's focused. I mean, he's not going to lose in the first round. Philly, I think, will give him a game, though, because they could slow it down and keep Brady on the sidelines. But, yeah, you got to go with Tampa in this game.
Definitely. All right, the second game of Sunday was the San Francisco at 10-7 versus Dallas 12-5 in Dallas at 4:30. Jimmy Garoppolo 301 for 441 for 3,810 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 98.7 quarterback rating. Dak Prescott 410 out of 596, 4,449 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions with a 104.2 quarterback rating. Now this game, I can honestly say I hope both teams lose because I don't want to stand because of Trent Williams' punk ass, and I can never root for Dallas. So I'm really conflicted in this game.
I mean, it's really simple, Carol. We don't curse often, but it's always fuck the Cowboys on this podcast. So like, it doesn't matter. Like,
but right now in my life, fuck Trent Williams and fuck the Cowboys is about.
No one can ever be more than fuck the Cowboys in the playoffs. We root against the Cowboys in the playoffs. We're a Washington football team podcast. It's how it's supposed to go. Like,
I'm going to go for San Fran. I just had to get the fuck Trent Williams out there. I'm just saying.
I mean, that's so minor to me. Like in the grand scheme of my hatred of a franchise.
As an ex-player and myself, and the way that whole debacle went down with him and him whining to the press, and then when we said we wanted to have an investigation, oh no, we don't need to, and I would never play for the Washington football team. All of that dramatic BS, I can't stand. To me, it was a bitch move, in my opinion. That's just me with Trent.
I mean,
that's just me. I'm sorry. That was just a bitch move. It reminded me of LeVar Arrington when he left because his agent screwed up his contract, and then he wanted to demonize Joe Gibbs and talk about how bad Joe Gibbs and all, but it was your agent that screwed up, and then he went and had the bike accident that he never played again. When he came back down here to DC riding his motorcycle. Not saying I'm happy it happened, but karma is a bitch. That's all I'm gonna say.
Anyway, but regardless, it's always fuck the Cowboys. But I mean, that's fine. I mean, I'd be interested to see if anyone else doesn't feel this way. I think the Cowboys are going to win. I'm going to root for San Francisco. I just think that the Cowboys are the better team. But like, I could be wrong, but I just don't really. San Francisco doesn't scare me. Not that the Cowboys are amazing. I just think they're playing in Dallas. I'd just be surprised if the 49ers go there and get a victory. But I mean, everyone can give their own take on it.
A little Washington in him with that fuck the Cowboys. I think he's going to come out with a good game plan against the Cowboys.
This is my thing. And I want people to remember this. Okay. With the Cowboys, and I've talked to many Cowboys fans about this, and I know right now they riding high because they, 56 points against the Eagles. It was the Eagles and their backups. I don't want to hear no more about that. Go back and look at games when they mattered against teams that were good. They struggled early. Because you got Kellen Moore being early days Kyle Shanahan doing cutesy stuff early and not sticking with stuff that works. They don't run the ball. They passing the ball all over the yard, throwing it around and putting Dak in unfavorable positions. And then you got these dumb idiots, talking heads, sitting on their little shows talking about how Dak needs to do better, this, that, and the other. No, coaching needs to do better. And then you got a fat chump called a head coach, Jay Gruden 2.0, that doesn't know how to do clock management over there, okay? Look at the games that they've almost won, and then you look at the games that they lost against teams they had no business losing to. In that game early against the Eagles, they were fighting to go tit for tat before they started pulling away. It's disgusting, all right? You're going against a 49ers team that don't have nothing to lose. And I've heard Dallas Cowboys fans talking about something. Oh, well, we didn't beat Arizona. We didn't want to play Arizona. Get out of here. You don't want to play a 49ers team that you, first of all, hadn't played all season. So you don't have a clue. You have no tape. You have no tendencies. You don't know what they're going to come in here and do in Dallas, first off. Second of all, they don't have nothing to lose. So don't give me this stuff about you don't want to play Arizona again because you didn't beat them. Look, Arizona don't have D-Hop, and again, they're reeling. But you know what? Again, against the Arizona team that for the 3 weeks before they saw y'all, they were all out of control and couldn't do jack. And then all of a sudden looked like world beaters and Super Bowl champs when they rolled in there. Why? Because your coaching staff is trash. Kellen Moore and Mr. McCarthy are dumpster fires, and they put your boy on the defensive side at a disadvantage. Don't be surprised. Everybody all of a sudden picking the Cowboys like it's just a sure thing. I'm telling you right now, I'm right here and I'm standing by it. I'm going with the 49ers because you don't want to see the 49ers because they don't have a darn thing to lose. They came back and beat a Rams team that's got everybody. They went and stole every all-star to go in there, and they came back and won that football game with a Jimmy Garoppolo, with no Trent Williams. Yes, that bum, the crybaby. Now they're going to have him back, and they're going to go into Dallas, which is not that same Cowboys stadium that y'all used to have. It ain't feared like that no more, all right? So don't give me that crap about, 56, we beat the Washington football team and the Eagles. I don't want to hear that crap. Go look at the teams that y'all played against that are good teams. You struggled. And Kellen Moore, your coaches are Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator, and Mike McCarthy. It's playoff time. All right? You don't want to see the 49ers. If they come out here starting that stuff they do every game, 3 and outs, Dak looking around like, what the heck's going on, man? Why aren't we running the ball? You got Zeke like, feed me. Why you not feeding me? And y'all not using Pollard like you're supposed to because you want to throw it around the yard and look like all these, like you're the greatest show on turf. You're going to get smoked because you know what Kyle Shanahan's going to do. Ground and pound, play action over the top. And your boy, I love Diggs. He's my guy. But he giving up the most yards to wide receivers because he's greedy. He like picks, but he also get burnt. And Debo going to get him some. So I'm going with the 49ers. But just go back and look at the tape. And I know Cowboys fan going to be, whatever. Go back and look at the tape. Go back and look at the season. And go back and look at how your offense struggled all season long. All right? I don't want to hear the crap. It's a loss. Going out in the first round. Then we have all excuses, and they'll be talking about, well, at least we beat the Washington football team. We went 6-0 in the division. Shut up.
And this Cowboys rant was brought to you by Dujan and Bland in the back.
I love it though. I love it. It's my favorite.
I've never heard Dujan go this hard on another team besides the Washington football team in a long time. Yeah. Tim, what is your take on this Dallas San Francisco game?
Can't really go against the 49ers after that. It's pretty hard to follow that. I do hate Dallas. Their fans are way too arrogant. My boss is a Dallas fan. So, I mean, they are a better team, but I just think they choke in the playoffs like since Emmitt Smith, basically. I mean, they barely have won any playoff games, and they've made it and lost at home. So I think they could definitely lose a close game. Just what the 49ers did against the Rams, that's really impressive. I mean, it wasn't a real road game because they had so many fans in LA, but that was a really good team. And that was a team playing to win a division, and they just coughed it up at home. So I think if they could win that game, they could win in Dallas for sure.
Definitely. All right, the last game of Sunday is Pittsburgh 9-7, who found the way to make it to the playoffs. Almost on the brink of a tie that would have knocked them out Las Vegas last night. I was watching like, oh my God, let me find out how this is going to happen. But Pittsburgh 9-7 versus Kansas City 12-5 in Kansas City, the 8:15 start. Two cold weather teams in the AFC battle for wild card. Wow. Big Ben in his final hurrah. He was 390 for 605, 3,740 yards, 22 touchdowns, 10 interceptions with an 86.8 quarterback rating. Pat Mahomes, 436 for 658, 4,833 yards, 37 touchdowns, 13 interceptions with a 98.5 quarterback rating. Pittsburgh, Kansas City. With Pittsburgh, riding the Ben train, found a way to make it to the playoffs after a heroic victory against Baltimore, and then biting their nails down to the nub last night watching the Vegas Chargers game. To me, this one is a coin toss. Guess I'm gonna ride with Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin with 15 seasons, no losing seasons, and taking his team to the playoffs. Andy Reid, offensive coordinator, we know his track record. He got a Super Bowl with Kansas City, but we also know his playoff track record. I'm going to have confidence say Pittsburgh will win this game on Sunday night. I just think the defense, they're going to find a way to slow down the Kansas City offense. Tyreek Hill, who was my fantasy football wide receiver the last 2 weeks, has done absolutely nothing because he's not 100%. So I'm thinking Pittsburgh is going to come in and out physical Kansas City and shock the wild card weekend and beating Kansas City in Kansas City. Dujane, what do you say?
Man, that's a pick, man. That's a pick. Ben just can't move. I can see the Najee Harris and them being physical because I don't trust Kansas City's defense that much. They're Jekyll and Hyde. Sometimes they can really do some spectacular stuff and be physical. I just can't go against Pat Mahomes and Kelsey. That combination. And they have other guys that will step up. I'm definitely going with the Chiefs. Ben can't move, and honestly, I just want Ben to go home. Like it's cute, man, and it's cute, and you had a nice career. It's time for you to go home now. I love Mike Tomlin, I love him, but it's time for Ben to go home. Like this story, I don't want this story to get any bigger than what it is. I don't want Ben to get all this play and this love. He don't deserve none of that. He got enough love as it is. You good. You made it to the playoffs by beating a Baltimore team that was without Jackson. Their defense there was no defense. I mean, the defense was never there the whole season. So you got to win, and you really shouldn't have been there because the Chargers were just stupid. Young coach being a dummy. All he had to do was just let the time run out. No, he wanted to show how big his cojones was and call a dumb timeout because he didn't want to end in a tie, I guess, and go to the playoffs and send somebody home. He wanted to go home. He guess he had fishing obligations. I don't know. But I'm going with Kansas City. I just can't. I can't. I can't. I love Tomlin, but it's time for Ben to go home. And then I'm going to have to put up with Aaron Rodgers possibly being a quarterback there because you know it ain't going to be Dwayne Haskins. So, you know,
I got two things for you, dude. I didn't see the play. I need you to break down what happened with the coach with him calling the timeout or whatever. I heard it was some controversy or something, but I need you to break that down for me. And just think about what about this with the NFL? Imagine a Pittsburgh Tampa Bay Super Bowl with the ageless wonders of Tom Brady versus Ben Roethlisberger. I kind of see that happening. The way the NFL is, I kind of see that happening, bro. I'm about to get the MGM app. I'm gonna put a bet for Pittsburgh Tampa Bay Super Bowl just to see if I can win some money because the way the NFL is right now, I could see that happening, bro.
You know, I ain't even gonna argue with that. So the play is that the Raiders run the ball and they ran the ball again, and it looked like the Raiders were just content with running the ball, and they were just trying not to put the ball in the air. They could have, but they were trying to put the ball in the air and have a turnover. It was late, and they were just looked like they were content with whatever happens. If we break one and we get in the field goal range, then we'll kick a field goal and we'll try to win the game. Old numbnuts over there, after they ran the ball, they were just content with just taking their time and lining up and running another. They were just going to run it again. Homeboy calls a timeout. And I'm like, excuse me? Like, what are you doing? Just let the clock run out. You're going to the playoffs. Does it matter that it's tied? Like, it's the most craziest thing and the craziest weekend we've had ever. What difference does it make? Both of you go to the playoffs and Ben Roethlisberger has a nice season and he, you know, does his thing, puts himself in position, but he ends up going home. Whoop-de-doo. Like, the Steelers go home, but you go to the playoffs. Homeboy calls a timeout. They run another play and they get into field goal range. They run a play, they get in the field goal range, boom. And they're like, well, you wanted to call a timeout, so we'll go ahead and win the game. And they won the game. I'm like, really, man? Come on. That's like, how dumb is that? It was obvious that the Raiders were content with running the clock out. And I mean, the announcers were even like, yeah, it looks like they're going to run it out.
I'm so happy you brought this up, Dujane, because I was already in bed. I was going to bed. I said, they're down 15. The game is over. I turned it off. I went upstairs. I checked the score, and it says going to overtime. And I'm like, what the hell did I just miss? I run downstairs, rewind, watch how they scored 15 points in the fourth quarter, and then watch overtime where they score a field goal, and then they march down, and our guy, Dustin Hopkins, has all the pressure of the entire season on a kick, and he makes it, right? Even though we cut it, this kicker, right? But so... even at the time we said we shouldn't, right? But anyway, so he makes the clutch kick in overtime to extend the game. The game goes all the way down to the wire. It looks like they're going to just run the ball out, but they're like, no, we want to try to get the ball back. We want to try to play for the win. Call a time out. Yep. No, just let the time go out. You could have both made the playoffs.
And the whole time I'm thinking when Dustin Hopkins makes that kick, I hear Carol going, we should have never let him go that soon. I tried to tell y'all we were rushing to conclusions like he was just having a bad day. See, y'all just we do this too much. Every time the kicker has a little bit of a slump, we ready to get rid of him. We should have just kept him. I swear, I heard it. As soon as he made the kick, I'm like, yep, that's what
I did too. I did too.
Right.
I'm just saying.
can't even deny it. He's 100% right. I'm like, yep, Carol. Yes, you're right. Be quiet.
Like I said, how many times have we seen it? We cut a kicker or somebody next, they Hall of Fame, Super Bowl champion,
in the playoffs,
MVP of the Super Bowl.
In the playoffs. Now to this Ben and Brady deal, I could see it. And the reason why I say this is the path that they have, because the only problem is that the Bengals and Bills are too tough. Offenses are too tough, and the Steelers ain't going to be able to, their defense ain't good enough to stop the passing attack. They might be able to slow down the rushing, but they ain't going to be able to stop that passing attack of those two teams. Too difficult. But we saw some, like yesterday, I was just about to turn the game off. It was a 15-point lead. I knew the Raiders were going to win in regulation. I was about to go to bed, but I was like, the weirdest stuff has happened today. Let me just make sure that it's going to be over in regulation, and then I'll go to bed. So it's not impossible, but I don't want to see Ben. I'm done seeing Ben. I was done seeing Ben Sunday, but the Ravens couldn't get the job done. So we have to see him again in the playoffs, and Patty Melt is going to take care of that, and he will be riding off to the sunset, doing his little waves, his pageant waves, going on about his business, and he'll ride off into the sunset, and Mr. Tomlin will get his new quarterback in Aaron Rodgers and go on and resurrect the Pittsburgh Steelers and be back getting Super Bowls once again.
God, if Aaron Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh, I'm going to be sick.
I think he's going to Pittsburgh. I just have this gut feeling. I mean, who else? They can't get Russell Wilson. Are they going to keep Dwayne Haskins? You think that's going to be their starter? Absolutely not. Have you seen him spot play for them? He looked just like he was over here. Dumpster fire. But he looked good though. He show up to work looking real good though. I will give him that. He GQing it though, but he can't throw worth a lick. Under Tomlin, for that matter.
Yeah, I'm not even
embarrassing me.
Roster.
Tim,
I kind of know which way you're going to lean on this one, but I'll get your take too.
Well, I think it's a bad matchup because Kansas City blew out Pittsburgh badly earlier, kind of second half of the year. So just Pittsburgh can't score enough to hang with them. So I think Pittsburgh will lose pretty badly.
Yeah, they scored 13 points last week.
Yeah, the Ravens defense has a lot of practice squad guys, so
yeah,
a lot of teams would have put up more points. Their defense is Watt's really good, but their defense can't stop Kansas City enough, I think.
Yeah, Kansas City in my mind is rounded into form. Like they started off the season in a rough fashion, but I feel like as the season progressed, they just got stronger. And I just don't see I don't see Pittsburgh beating them in Kansas City. Like, maybe if it was in Pittsburgh, maybe there'd be a chance, but like I just don't see it in Kansas City happening.
I'm downloading the MGM app right now, man.
You better go on and make that bet then.
But I mean, okay, but so here's the question, because the odds right now are not in your favor. So if I was a betting person, I don't know if I would take 12.5 though. Like it might be a closer game.
Good God.
12.5, that's a lot.
Yeah, so if we're going to the gambling lines, yeah. So
12.5. Yeah, let me go ahead and they're not downloading fast enough. Hold up. That's locked in right.
Don't we're not gambling advice, all right?
Yeah.
I mean, I gave up halfway through the season on my pick'ems. I don't know if I'm the guy you want to go with.
Oh, no, don't even bring up pick'ems, Rob. Yeah,
I finished third.
Yeah, that was good. But, I mean,
after winning last year, I finished 10th this year, Dujane. 10th.
You picking Washington every week. I done told you about that. Picking Washington every week. You gotta stop that, man.
I can't do it, man.
Get some help. Stop. Get some help. You gotta stop that, man. It'll kill you.
I don't bet on them. I just play pickleball, and that's all.
Yeah, that's bad. Gotta stop.
I'll remind people I got the closest. I said 6 wins. We all were. Everyone though in the podcast except for Brian had that they were going to have a winning record this year.
I did. I was punch drunk, and yeah.
So,
man, look, like I said, that was best case scenario.
It was. That's why I hate doing pick. That's why I hate doing that. Robbie knows I hate doing that. This is the reason why.
He loves doing it because at the end of the year, you're like, see, I was the closest. You guys are crazy.
It's my one thing, claim to fame, right? There you go.
All right, let's go ahead and get to the last one. We didn't win way longer than we expected in football this week.
I know, it's about 30 minutes long.
Last game, Robbie mentioned we'll be broadcasting live this game, a wild card weekend, the first ever wild card Monday. You have Arizona at 11-6 versus the Los Angeles Rams at 12-5, a rematch of the NFC West. You got Kyler Murray, 333 completions out of 481 attempts. 3,787 yards, 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions with a 100.6 quarterback rating. And you got the ageless wonder that's making the playoffs, Mr. Matt Stafford. 404 completions out of 601 attempts, 4,886 yards, 41 touchdowns, and 17 interceptions, 102.9 quarterback rating. This is an 8:15 game Monday in LA. I'm just going, I got to go with LA. Just with Kyler Murray and the Arizona's inexperience in the playoffs. Stafford has been chomping at the bit for a long time to get his get into the playoffs and actually do something. The Rams, they took the loss yesterday to the 49ers, but I think for the most part, they're going to pretty much handle this game. Unless Arizona comes out defensively strong and Kyler Murray has the game of his life, I think the Rams are going to win this game. What do you say, Dujane?
This is the game of two teams that don't want to win. I mean, Cardinals act like they don't want to win. I don't trust the Cardinals because it seems like ever since D-Hop's been gone, Kyler's just the guy running around back there, just tossing balls up. I love Kyler, but and it's kind of also showing the youngness of the head coach. He's made some critical mistakes here in the last, I'd say 3 or 4 games. I'd say even more than that, actually. He probably about 4 games outside of that Dallas game, the 3 before the Dallas game, and their games after the Dallas game. They didn't do so well. He didn't coach very well. They didn't play very well. I just think coaching is going to probably be the deciding factor here. I don't trust Matthew Stafford. We are all starting to see that, Matthew, you can't run, you can't hide. It wasn't Detroit. It is you. You are an interception machine. You had one job yesterday, and you cost the New Orleans Saints an opportunity to get in the playoffs because you couldn't throw the ball deep enough. Like, what were you doing, man? Like he's throwing interceptions. Like he's like Rex Grossman in the last 3 games, just tossing them up to the other team. Like it's just something to do. But he gonna win because the Cardinals just aren't good enough. They're not as good as them. Von Miller, Ramsey, that whole 9, even though they seem like they don't play together very well at times, I think the coaching of Sean McVay will make the difference. They have no choice. To me, with the moves that they made, the picks they auctioned off, it's Super Bowl or bust. But sadly, they're not getting there. Because you think that team can beat Green Bay? No. But they'll beat the Cardinals. But it's the battle of 2 teams that don't want to win.
I agree with Dujane's thoughts on this because I was looking at the last 5 games. That's what I was going to talk about was, for me, like they lost to the Rams, at Detroit, then against Indianapolis, who is so sorry that they couldn't even beat the Jaguars to get into the playoffs themselves, which I thought was pretty ridiculous. And the only win over the last 5 games was at Dallas, and that wasn't even that great of an effort. And Arizona started the season so well. They started off on this crazy tear, if people remember. Like they won the first 7 games, I think it was. Yeah, 7 games. And I just think as the season went on, they got worse. And for me, there was some lulls in the game for LA, but overall, I think that they've put together a better season. And I think because it's in LA, I think that's going to be the difference maker. Right now, the Rams are only favored by 4, so it's not even like a huge favorite. I'm going to go with the Rams in this one.
And Dallas fan up in here convincing themselves that they didn't want to play the Cardinals. Get out of here. Oh, shoot.
Tim, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Arizona is stumbling in, and I wouldn't be shocked if they won this game just because the Rams really have a terrible home field advantage. I mean, it's a disadvantage. They had so many 49ers fans. And like you said, Stafford throws a lot of really crazy picks. He's done almost nothing in the playoffs in his career. So you can't really trust him necessarily, but they're a better team and they're the hotter team. And their defensive front is really, really good. So I think they're going to win. But I'm not, I don't think it's going to be a blowout or anything.
Yeah, I think it'll be a close game for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a very entertaining wild card weekend.
Oh, yeah.
First ever with games on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Love the new 18-week schedule. It's going to be interesting to see how these playoffs fall out with only one team having a bye week. I always said, 2 teams having a bye was too much. So I'm anxious to see how this plays out, and then we'll definitely break down all the results next week.
That'll be a cool show. We'll break down the results of all the other ones while watching a game live towards the end of it too, So I think that'll be an awesome second segment. We won't really talk about Washington football team, but Dujane, if you want to break those down, you're always welcome to join us. So it should be a fun show. I think that's a really like a unique thing, especially the first one ever. So that'll be really really kind of cool.
Yeah.
By the way, this we haven't talked about it really at all, but this national championship game is a defensive slugfest. It's a 9-6 game.
It is.
It's an interesting matchup here that I'll definitely, as we get to the end of the Wizards segment, break down a little bit more. But Dujane, real quickly, I know you do like college football. What's your take on this? It's a closer game than I would have expected.
It is. Really didn't expect. Really didn't know what to expect from Georgia. I was kind of looking at it and approaching it like Washington football team, not really sure what to expect. And, what you're going to get from Alabama. So I'm almost thinking that Georgia did a vanilla type game plan in the SEC championship game, hoping that they could get by with that, knowing that they were going to meet them again. Didn't want to show their cards early, knowing what Nick Saban is capable of doing in his evaluation of tape. They've shown up today, and they just need to put the ball in the end zone. Whoever scores a touchdown here, I think it's going to make a difference, and it's probably going to be the one that wins. I know Georgia. I'm rooting for Georgia, but like I said, they got to do it, and I've been saying that all day. So. We'll see, but I'm not getting my hopes up.
Yeah, I hate Alabama just because I like the Aggies. We've already addressed that earlier.
Right.
And so I'm definitely rooting for Georgia, although I do think it is kind of cool if somehow Alabama wins. The only loss that they had this year was to the Aggies. So,
yes.
we could have that over them, but
yes,
I would rather Georgia win. So come from behind and find a way. Right now they're down just a field goal. It's a very close game, and it's we're getting close to the fourth quarter right now. So, but Dujane, it's been a fun season breaking it down with you. We went double, maybe triple the time but I appreciate you giving us the extra time. And we'll get into some Wizards talk here, but thank you so much, and let people know what you're talking about on the podcast this week.
Well, this week we're going to talk about where we go from here, the Washington football team on the breakdown. We'll also be talking about the wild card weekend, breaking those things down as well. And we'll be talking a little Wizards, talking about Bradley Beal and how the things are working out for him as he's started to improve a little bit and not been the Achilles heel of this team.
I think y'all might get y'all a touchdown in this championship game. Dude from Georgia just broke a long run.
That'll work.
Oh, wow.
I like it.
Yeah.
And
Carroll's ahead of us. Oh, that's a nice run down to the 11-yard line.
yeah.
3:07 left in the third.
And on the Not Bland show, which is on Ghostcast, we had the NHRA show today, talking about the 2022 season, some of the things that I'm looking forward to coming up on the season, and talking about those things, breaking those things down. And so you can go to that app if you're an Apple user, and the link is on it's in my Instagram story and on the Facebook story, so you can just click that there, or you could just go to Ghostcast and you can look up the Not Bland show, and it's right there, and it's one of the first shows right at the top. So that's what we got going on, and I appreciate you guys having me on as always, man. It's a blast.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Appreciate it, dude. It's definitely one of our funniest shows of the season. Too bad it's the last watch the football team segment. But yeah, definitely had fun breaking it down as always. Appreciate your knowledge and insight coming from down south with the SEC and the NFC South. So appreciate it as always. And we'd love to have you back on next week to break down Wild Card Weekend.
Sounds good. I'll be looking forward to it.
Sounds good, man. Have a good night.
You too.
All
Enjoy
right.
this game. Hopefully they will score here. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
So that's awesome. Yeah, it's they're fighting for it. There's a flag now. We'll see. I'll definitely give updates on this national championship game. But we'll bring DC's People's Champ in. We'll bring in Arun as well. And we'll try to do it slightly abbreviated. Wizards talk. Face mask penalty on Alabama gives Georgia the first down. First and goal. Yeah, exactly. All right, let me see if I can quickly share the screen. We'll have the Wizards schedule here. So yeah, awesome. And so the first game is against the Rockets. So let me see if I get everybody on screen. I do. Awesome. All right. With that, Champ, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right, Robbie. How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. And Arun, how are you doing?
Not bad. Enjoyed that football talk you guys were having.
Yeah, good. I'm happy. Thank you guys for staying on the line. It went a little bit long. I appreciate you bearing with us. I know Brian wanted to join us tonight, but it went a little bit long for him. But we'll get him on hopefully next week. Let's break down the quick scoring in the Houston Rockets game. The Rockets came out outscoring them 29-26. Wizards came back, outscored them 29-25. It was a close third. The Rockets outscored them by 4 there, and it was an even game, in the fourth quarter. But it was a close game. The Rockets just sort of barely edged the Wizards out. I thought that a couple of Wizards really had some pretty good game. KCP had 26 points. Bradley Beal had 27. Kyle Kuzma had 24. Champ, I'll go to you first. What are your thoughts on this game?
Tough loss for the Wizards on this one against a Rockets team that's not very good. That dagger by Butler at the end was just killer. It was just killer. But the team, they fought, they played hard, but the problem was that it seemed like they played down to their competition, which seems to be the issue with this team, is that they play down to their competition and they don't play up to teams that don't have better records than them. And it can be frustrating as a fan of the team and watching this team and be like, look, this is a team you should just run out the gym, and especially your own gym, and you end up losing by 3. So this is a very disappointing loss. And this is also the game where Glenn Carnsel made an incorrect call in terms of Butler, which got him vilified online. And I hate that it got him vilified online because I've met Glenn and I kind of know him personally, and he is not a malicious person. So it was an honest mistake. But the fact that LeBitch James made that comment on Twitter about him kind of pissed me off, and I want him to just go die in a fire because that was ridiculous. Like, Glenn is the most awesome and most humblest person in the world. And for that to have happened to him, It really made me sad. But not only did this loss make me sad, but then what happened to Glenn after this made me even more sad. So I just wanted to put that out there. Glenn is a
Yeah,
great
no,
guy, and I just hate what happened to him.
I'm so happy that you did, because I really like Glenn too. We're like honestly happy to have him. And my dad, who was watching the game, thought the exact same thing that Glenn did, because he's like, oh yeah, you played for him. And my dad, so people of a certain age, I think different generation of NBA fans totally understood the mistake. But this younger generation is like out to this gotcha moment and quick viral thing. And I really think it was an honest mistake. I do not think if he knew his dad was involved with gun violence, he would ever bring it up, and especially not in that context. Like, it's so hard for me to believe that they would make that jump. But Arun, what are some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was just on bad timing by Glenn Conser. I don't think he meant anything by those comments. LeBron never gonna back down from something dumb he said on Twitter. So whatever. Then the karma, I guess, got in LeBron, because the Lakers didn't have a good week either after LeBron made those comments. So it is what it is. But the Wizards didn't really play, as kind of alluded to. This was just a bad game by the Wizards. Like, it did come down to the buzzer, but if you're getting outplayed by the Rockets, a lot of people are blaming the officials, but you don't want to be in a close game with the Rockets anyway. So even though the Wizards are missing a few guys, it is what it is. The Wizards need to play better.
Yeah, real quickly, a scoring update. Georgia did get the touchdown, so they're up 13-9 as the tail end of the third quarter. But a first down for Alabama as they ends the quarter there. So Alabama is down by 4. A Georgia player is down with looks like an injured knee. So we'll be watching that as we get into the fourth quarter. Tim, do you have any more thoughts on this game?
No, just a game that the Wizards really need to win, because the Rockets are one of the worst teams in the league, and the Wizards have really tailed off. I think early in the year they would have definitely won a game like this pretty easily, but they shot very poorly from the three-pointer range, so just disappointing. But they had a good comeback. It wasn't effort, just a sloppy loss.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get into the next one. So that one is this Bulls game, which I thought would actually be closer than it was. It was pretty close in the first, but they let Chicago score 37 points, 37-32, and then they let them score 36 points in the second, but Wizards also scored 34. So it's like just a really high scoring first half. The Bulls scored 34 in the third, and then the Wizards came back and sort of made a little bit more of a game of it. But just overall, I felt like the Bulls really wanted to take it to the Wizards, and I kind of didn't really think the Wizards at any point were going to win this game. But I'll go to you, Champ. What are your thoughts on it?
This game wasn't close, even though the score kind of magnifies that. This game wasn't close. DeMar DeRozan, they had you can see it on the stats here. They had 6 players in double figures. Everybody was scoring. Everybody was getting quality shots. Wizards just didn't play very good defense in this one. This wasn't really a close game, and it was kind of expected that this Wizards team was not going to be very competitive against this Bulls team. The Bulls are playing very well this first half of the season, and so and like Arun mentioned when we talked about the first game, Wizards are missing a lot of guys because of the COVID protocols, so they didn't have a lot of guys there, and it showed. And that's why they ended up falling when they did. I mean, the Bulls got Lonzo Ball back from the protocols, and he went out and scored 18. And it was just not a very good game for the Wizards as a whole. Even though they only lost by 8, it could have been a lot worse had they not really fought back to get to that 8-point loss.
Yeah, I agree. Arun, what are some of your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, there was no defense, especially by the Wizards in the second half. It was a close game in the second, like the start of the second half. It was like single digit. I believe it was only a 1-point lead for the Bulls. Then Lonzo Ball hit like a bunch of threes. Like, he was wide open. Nobody was guarding him on back-to-back possessions. I think Bradley Beal was responsible for guarding him, but you're going to guard him 10 feet off the ball. Now Lonzo Ball knows how to shoot. and the Bulls put up 130 points. That's not going to get it done for the defensive end. Wes Unseld Jr. said there was not really good effort in this game. And the Bulls were on a winning streak. They had a really good winning streak. Then I believe they lost to the Mavericks yesterday. So I think this was kind of a winnable game for Washington, given that the Bulls themselves gave up 122 points. But that third quarter where the Wizards gave up 34 points after giving up 36 points in the second quarter, that's terrible defense, and that's not going to get it done.
For sure. Tim, what are your thoughts?
I would just say, yeah, I mean, the Bulls are one of the best teams in the East, and they had a really long winning streak, like Rune was saying. So I'm not surprised the Wizards got beaten badly, but just the bad trend of effort not always being there is really bad, because I think early in the season they played very hard, and the coaching staff got a lot out of the players, and if that's slipping, they need to kind of figure out who deserves minutes. So you don't want to see that, but at least they did bounce back and get some wins later on.
For sure. Let's just get into the good game, the one against the Magic. The Magic started off actually pretty strong. I was actually getting a little nervous. They outscored the Wizards by 6 in the first, 26-20. And then they outscored them by 1 in the second, 23-22. The Wizards came back, outscored them by 3, 25-22 points in the third. And then they really turned it on in the fourth, outscored them 35-29. And actually, I thought maybe even could get a little bit of a bigger lead, but it was close down the stretch. I'll put it. It was a good game. I was really impressed with Ross. He put together quite an incredible game. There was a run of points where he was basically the entire offense for Orlando for huge portions of this game, and he ended up with 32 points. I really thought that the Magic were actually going to end up winning this game, so I'm happy that the Wizards were able to hold on. There was, I believe, some missed free throws towards the end that made it even closer than it should have been, and so that'll be interesting and needs to be cleaned up. But I'm happy that Bradley Beal was able to, the team was able to do enough to be able to get that victory, which is a much needed victory. They couldn't lose all 3 games this week. I'll go to Rune first. What are some of your thoughts on it?
Great game by Kyle Kuzma, 27 points and 22 rebounds. That's pretty crazy. It's crazy that he put up those numbers, and Russell Westbrook.
Career high in rebounds. Yeah,
that's great.
Russell Westbrook had a single like against with the Lakers the last game. So I think maybe something's in the DC water that's letting like all these like former Lakers play well. And Harold didn't play. Rui made his debut off the bench. He looks really out of shape, but he did have 6 points. But in the second half, he looked like he could barely jump. And Greg Monroe made his second appearance, I guess. He signed a 10-day contract. He was pretty terrible. That lineup with Rui and Denny and Monroe was really a weird lineup. Spencer Dinwiddie only had 8 points, but he did have 10 assists. But I think he needs to be a bit more aggressive out there. And Beal, 20 points, but 22 shots. It's not good when you have more shots than points. Hopefully Beal, maybe he needs another vaccination. Get to like a 40-point average. And I think Orlando could have actually came away with this win, but Mo Bamba for the Magic, he's pretty terrible, and like he missed a bunch of bunnies. So I'm glad the Wizards were able to hold on. And Terrence Ross was on fire, and then for some reason, like on the last minute of the game, he just like shot the ball off the backboard, and it like didn't hit the rim. So good that he cooled off at the right time as well. And you're right. The Wizards missed like a couple free throws. Kyle Kuzma missed one, and Bradley Beal. So it seemed like the Wizards were going to lose like somehow, but they did manage to hold on.
All right, 21-yard field goal attempt for Alabama is good. It makes it a 13-12 game. Georgia is holding on by 1 point here with just under 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter. But that's a pretty good assessment there, Arun. Champ, what are some of your thoughts?
First and foremost, welcome back Rui Hachimura. His first made field goal was a dunk in the game, so great job on Rui. Yeah, he did look a little bit sluggish, but I'm sure with a couple more games and some more time, he'll get back into the flow of things, and he'll be fine. Big shout out to Kuzma, the first man in almost 12 years to have 20 plus points and 20 plus rebounds in a game for the Wizards since Antoine Jameson in 2010. That's crazy. And it was funny because not what's his name? Dwight Gooden, I think is his name. No, that's a baseball player. But no, they were saying on the television commentary that he had a Barbara Walters of 2020. So I found out to be very funny. But great game from Kuzma. This game should not have been as close as it was. Orlando is not a very good team, and again, it goes back to the point I made talking about Houston. They played down to Orlando, and only reason why Orlando only lost by 2, they made a 3-pointer at the buzzer to get it to 2 points. That's the only reason they only had lost by 2. Is because they made a 3-pointer at the buzzer. It would have been a 5-point victory for the Wizards had that 3 not gone down at the buzzer. But this is a game you look at and be like, and have to ask the question: can the Wizards actually play better than a team that's not better than them record wise? And that question is going to have to get answered sooner rather than later, because otherwise they're going to be in a lot of these games with teams that are not as good as them in terms of records, and they might get exposed even more than they are. And when it comes time to get into the playoffs, these games are going to start to like really stand out, and they're going to have to start to take these teams that are not better than them record wise and absolutely just stomp on them and not just play down to them.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop the screen share here just for the last little part, but I'll get Tim your take on.
Yeah, just a couple of thoughts. Terrence Ross always kills the Wizards. It's just something about Washington. He loves to play and destroy the Wizards. Also, I think Rui, I'm really glad he's back. He's definitely not ready to play a lot of minutes. He's probably on the Bertans diet plan that Davis used last offseason. So, that's not good. Also, just the Wizards could have definitely lost this game. I mean, they lost to the Rockets, but it's good that they pulled it out. It's not good that they fell behind by double digits, though. In the second quarter, that's a really bad habit because the Magic are just not a good team at all. So that's all I'll say. But yeah, I mean the Wizards could pull out some wins this week and hopefully get above 500.
For sure. For just timing purposes, I'm going to give each one of you guys a team going forward. I'll go through the schedule real fast. So Thunder at Wizards tomorrow at 7 p.m. Magic at Wizards, the rematch, this time in Washington at 7 on Wednesday. So it's a back-to-back game. Then they have a couple of days off, and then they play the Trailblazers also at home. So this is a continuation of this homestand. The Trailblazers game is at 7 on Saturday. And at Monday, there's a 2 o'clock in the afternoon game on MLK Day. 76ers come to town for that one. I am going to go. I'll go to Champ. I'll go to you first for the Thunder game. What is your take on that one?
All right, so it was mentioned in the podcast last week that the Wizards, their next dozen or so games are basically at home, so they have to be able to defend the homestand, and they're going up against the Thunder team that are currently on a 4-game losing streak, and they have to come here. You have to, these are the games you have to win. You have to win these games. You cannot take this team lightly. And it goes back once again, and I hate to be a broken record, but I got to be. This is a team that is not better than you record-wise. You cannot play down to them. They are in your hometown, in your home arena. You have to absolutely run them out of your home court. Absolutely. You cannot, under any circumstances, let this team play and have a remote chance of beating you. So with this game here, which is the beginning of 4 straight games at home, you have to come out and you have to absolutely ball. One of the things you got to do is limit 3-point shooting, because you're not a 3-point shooting team. That's been clear. You can barely get over 30% from 3-point line. You have to play to your strength, which is in the paint. You should be getting some more pieces back in terms of the front court. You should be able to make something happen in the front court to open up the 3-point shooting and be able to just beat this team with no doubt. So I'm calling a Wizards win, but it should not be close.
So here's an interesting stat. I actually looked it up. It's actually their next 8 games in a row are at home. 8. So yeah, so from the Thunder all the way down to January 25th, I think every game is at home. So that's 2 weeks. That's crazy. I've never seen such a long home win streak. So let's move on to the next one, which is against the Magic. I'll let Arun do the Magic recap or Magic rematch on Wednesday. It's the second half of a doubleheader. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, maybe the Magic get back like the Robin Lopez or Wagner from the COVID list, because Mo Bamba is pretty bad, but Terrence Ross, he's killed the Wizards. But I think, I don't know, like as Tim said, like they fell behind by double digits against Orlando, and the Wizards have a bad habit of playing down to the competition, and even the Thunder they beat only by 2 points earlier this season. So it's probably going to be a close game. It should be a Wizards win, but you never know with this DC team.
I'll give the Trailblazers to Tim because I know that he used to watch a lot of their games. What are your thoughts? That's on Saturday at 7. What on that?
Well, in general, the Wizards should be favored in all the games this week. This is a very easy week, except for Philly, if you include MLK game. Portland really has struggled this year. Their team is just not working. Most people think that they're gonna blow it up and trade Lillard. Most likely, they have a new GM or will soon, so he's gonna want to mix up their team. But they have a losing record. They've really struggled. Their start was decent, but the last like 20, 30 games, they've really struggled. Lillard, I think, is pressing a little bit. He's still good, but he's not, MVP quality this year. And it's just a game that the Wizards should win. The Wizards randomly will win in Portland a lot and lose at home to Portland. So not that matters, but it's just a weird recent history.
Yeah, for sure. All right, last segment here quickly. I'm going to get each of your thoughts on the MLK Day game and then your overall. You don't have to tell me which ones are wins or losses, just your overall out of the 4 games, how you think we're going to do. So I'll start with you, Champ. What do you think about this Philly game during the day and your overall record for the week?
I feel like with this Philly game, it's kind of hard to call because Philly is a very good team. They're 5th in the East right now. Joel Embiid is absolutely just balling right now, averaging almost 27 points and almost 11 rebounds a game. So he's averaging a double-double. So your front court, Gafford, if you can get Trez back, your front court has to be solid against him because he will kill you every single time. So you gotta lock him down. You gotta lock him down. I feel like the Wizards, they seem to play a lot better against teams with better records than they do against teams with worse records than they do. So I would say that they win this game. I think that the Wizards will go. I don't want to sound too ambitious on this, but I think they win 3. I think they win all 4. I honestly do. I think they win all 4 because they'll play up to the 76ers and really give them a run and most likely beat them. The Magic they've already beaten, even though it was close. The Thunder they'll beat, and the Trailblazers they'll beat. So I think they'll go 4-0 this week. I honestly do. I'm gonna go out and die on that hill. They'll go 4-0 this week.
Nice. I like it. Arun, what are your thoughts on that Philly game and overall record?
Yeah, in the regular season, the Wizards haven't beaten Philly since 2019 before the lockdown, when they beat them by 17 points. I just think Philly's just right now a bad matchup. They probably need Thomas Bryant back to put another body on Embiid. Gafford has had trouble, and so has Harrell, who's supposed to come back from COVID. So I have that one as a loss, and I think I'm leaning towards 3-1 for the Wizards this week.
Tim, what are your thoughts?
I guess I'll be the negative one. I mean, the Wizards should win 3 or 4, but they've been very up and down lately, and I think Philly will probably be a loss just because they're very good, and like Arun said, they haven't beaten them recently at all. And then just the Wizards can't really be trusted against the lower echelon team, so I think 2-1 is realistic. But
including the 2-2,
2-2 for the week, but yeah, I think 2-1 against the bad teams.
Got it. Yeah, I that's exactly how I see it too. I actually have it at 2-2 as well. We'll lose one of those first two, the double headers. I think we lose the second game of the double header, and then we or maybe even the Portland game. I don't know. I feel like that's a team we just don't necessarily always match up well with. So we could lose that one as well. So I think 2-2 as well. But I'm hoping, Ken, I hope that you're right and you can rub it in my face and be super excited next week. And we can have a victory Monday. And
if the Wizards go 4-0 this week, one of these title belts are getting worn on my shoulder next week. Just know.
Yeah, there you go. I would expect nothing less. So sounds good. I know that the podcast ran super long, so thank you guys for staying with us. I'll let each of you get your parting shots in, and I'll give a scoring update to the national championship as well, and we'll bring Carol back in, and we'll wrap things up. I'll start off with you, Arun. Thank you for joining the show. I didn't know if you're doing any other shows this week, but just let the people know where they can catch you.
Yeah, I put out 2 episodes of the Hey Aaron podcast, one fantasy football and one NBA Washington Wizards base. So people can check that out. That was a good win against the Knicks a couple weeks ago. Too bad Brian's not on the show again.
Right.
And Andrew Luck is now working on College Game Day with RG3. That was some interesting RG3 news, and it's weird that the number 1 and number 2 pick are working together. And I actually think RG3 is a better announcer than Andrew Luck. Sorry, Andrew Luck.
Yeah, that is kind of funny. I didn't even think about that. So that's some good Arun tidbits. I appreciate it as always. Thank you, Arun. You've been around through a lot of national championship games. You've actually come on, I think, almost every single one of them that we've had. So the game right now is 13-12, and Georgia's still up with 10-18 left, and I believe it's now 3rd and goal for Alabama, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and they're on the 2-yard line. And but Arun, thank you so much for coming and joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sure, thanks for having me on.
All right, Champ, let us people know what's happening on the No Spots podcast. You've been killing it on Twitch, and I'll give you a shout out in the chat while you do that.
Yes. So this coming Saturday, we will be going back and talking about Impact Hard to Kill, which took place last Saturday, which was an amazing pay-per-view, the first pay-per-view for Impact this year. Great pay-per-view. Also, we will have our New Japan insider and an analyst Sage on to talk about all 3 nights of Wrestle Kingdom. I will be watching the 3rd night this coming Saturday, and we'll be talking about that. So we got that coming for you this coming Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back on our normal time at 6 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/True No Spots Pod. Also, guys, please say a prayer for my wifey and my son. They got COVID for the 2nd time, so they're dealing with that crap again. So yeah, a little bit stressful, but we're gonna deal with it. But thank you guys for having me. It was always fun talking Wizards. The football talk was amazing to talk about. DJ's awesome, and I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Champ. I hope that your family feels better soon. For sure. Alabama just scored a touchdown. They're going for a 2-point conversion here with 10:14 left. So I'll just keep it here while they he's rolling out. And he's tackled. So it ends up being Alabama's up by 5 with 10:14 left. See if Georgia can get another touchdown in this game. But Champ, thank you for modding and being a big part of the podcast, the podcast network. And I look forward to having you on a show real soon.
All right, y'all. Have a good night.
All right, Carol. I'm going to keep Tim here live with us as we do our closeout since we're here. It's a good game. I know you don't watch a lot of college football, but you said that you did turn this on. Did you keep it on? It's a good game.
Yeah, it's been going back and forth. I've been watching wrestling and football. I actually stepped off and took care of some other stuff. I just saw that Alabama scored when I came back out. So it's definitely been a real good game. I know I've always heard the SEC is the best division in college football. So it's definitely a entertaining game. I can watch college football. I just don't for political reasons.
Yeah, I know. All right. Well, we won't get too much into that. But I want to thank everyone, including people, for rating in today. And we still have 14 people watching and staying with us. So I'm gonna, Carol, why don't when you do the sign off, just drop off of the Zoom real quick, and I'll raid out afterwards. But you do your sign off, and then just kill the Zoom, and I'll do my sign off on Twitch right after.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. As always, appreciate you guys tuning in. The new Twitch, viewers appreciate you checking us out. Sports on Hill podcast covering DC sports, having a good time talking sports, and other things. We got a little wild tonight, but we had a good time. First show in the new year with myself, Robbie, and the whole crew. So, we back bringing you the best sports coverage around. Go check out the website, SportsOTHP.com. You can get some of the apparel that you're seeing everybody rocking tonight. Robbie with the District of Champions, with the Sports OTHP hoodie. You saw Dujanay, you saw Tim with the Mantha. I mean, just, we love our sports and we love our apparel. So click on the link. All our podcast partners that you saw on the show tonight, click on their links for all of their shows. You can check out their information that they put out. You got Champ with wrestling, Arun, Brian B. Normally he's around. Got Anna K. She's out with Power Play Point. We just got a nice full staff that love doing what we do, and we love the job. Check us out. And also, if you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, I sell cars down in Waldorf Honda. Hit me up, 2450 Crane Highway, Waldorf, Maryland. Get you the best deal on all the nicest cars around. And that's about it. On my feed, as always, I'm going to end with some independent music videos that we play on At the Bar Radio, streaming every Sunday night, 6 o'clock. You can check out on my YouTube channel, Carol Porter III, with 3 eyes, not the number 3. And have a good time on the show Sundays. Robbie, as always, appreciate you moderating and running the groups with the basketball, and all your new Twitch followers that's checking us out on the new platform. I appreciate it. Check us out. You can go follow my YouTube. You can go follow my page, Carol Porter III. I have graphics and stuff on my page, not as fancy as Robbie, but I have some stuff on my page also. You can always check out. And
you actually have more stats on your page now than I do on mine. I'm impressed. We've come a long way, Carol. I mean, people who are watching my Twitch feed just are seeing mine, but definitely I'll post all the videos for both of them on sportsothp.com. But it's fun. I love that we can each do our own thing, do it together, and do it for almost 6 years. I was just looking at sportsothp.com, and on it, another year has appeared under the list of the blogs, and it's just kind of cool. It's the 7th different year we've entered, which means we're getting close to season 7, and and all the different things. We're getting close to finishing our 6th year doing this together. So it's been a crazy run. I'm going to be rating Jazzy Eagle here in just a second. He's a good friend of mine with some of our friends here, but I'll let you sign off, and I'll do my raid here.
All right, as always, Sports OTHP, DC Sports Without the Politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. CP3 live from the lab. See you next week.
Robbie, oh my gosh, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. Primordial Sons, hi there. My bot